Okay, this is now the 5 Minute Tarot for the 7th of November 2017. And I think I'd like to look at two cards. Well, I'm continuing on with the idea of going backwards through the major trumps to see what we see what we can discover, maybe. So I'd like to look at 2 or 3 cards today only, partly to keep it short and vary the length of the videos. And so today I'm going to start with the devil, who represents, let's say, being trapped, is one obvious meaning of the card, or one obvious meaning that we get from the picture on the card, because the man and the woman have the chain around their neck and they can't move. They're not free to move around that much, but they are in some way held by the devil, and even though they're connected to the rock. So maybe with the devil, we think, okay, we want to know how did people get trapped, or how did we get trapped in the first place? And then in order to answer that question, we go back to the previous card, which is Temperance. And so we're going to say that the step before the devil is temperance. So what's going on? How can we end up being trapped? The thing is, it's a bit of a contradiction, I think, because the angel looks good. We've got the angel, it may be Michael, I can't remember which one it's supposed to be. And he's got the 2 cups, or it has the 2 cups. And angels ought to be, or we would normally think of angels as being helpful and able to do things that we can't do, let's say. So it represents maybe spiritual power or something like that. So the angel looks good, but it's followed by the devil. Or temperance looks good, but it's followed by the devil. So what's going on? And maybe we say that we're presented with temperance and the angel, but we misunderstand what's going on. Because it's followed by the devil. Or maybe we were materialistic in our own way. Because the thing is, with angels, they're not physical beings, even though they're drawn and painted as if they were physical beings. But angels probably represent ideas and mental activity and not things. But it's easy to want proof. You know, we have a sense later on with the star card, we have a sense of the majesty and the power of the universe, but you can't touch it, and you can't taste it, and you can't have it. You can't, have an object that represents that kind of actual power. So it's easy with the Temperance card. Maybe we get the promise of something unique or something infinitely powerful, but we can't understand it, so we need to translate it into something, an object. But by translating it into the object, that's when you lose its reality. Because if you think of the word infinite means there's no end. But we actually enclose the idea of infinite something or other into a word which has got a few letters. So we're in some way attempting to take something that really is so big and make it fit into a finite, a limited idea or a limited word. And that's really all we can do. So it's easy to be materialistic and to want to deal with things rather than ideas or rather than thought. And maybe that's how we end up being trapped in the Devil card, because we're given the possibility of all power and eternal truth and infinite riches or possibilities, but we can't handle it because we need smaller versions of that. So we end up with the devil. And I was thinking about, if you remember a while ago, I talked about Russell Crowe and Gladiator and how he says, I am Gladiator. Not I am a gladiator or I am the gladiator, but I am Gladiator. So there's this idea of gladiatorness, and it's complete and it has its own mentality and its own rules and regulations and so on. And it's Gladiator. So if Russell had said to the idea of Gladiator, okay, I'm going to steal this, I'm going to steal this sword, or we're going to blackmail this ruler to do what we want, the idea of Gladiator is not going to understand what Russell or what anybody's talking about, because Gladiator is in its own way a pure idea. And it's a bit like if you talk to it about non-gladiator things, it's not going to understand what you're talking about. And I think that's what's going on with the devil card, that it's materialistic because it's what we understand, but it's not what the angel understands. Because we're in the world, but the idea of the angel is pure, and so we at this point, we're given the possibility of knowledge, let's say, and ideas, but we're not able to understand what they are, and so we turn them into things and into limited things, like the devil, who represents all that's evil. And it makes sense to us, but it's because we're limited to begin with that the devil seems real. I'm kind of rambling here, I think, but I've got this idea of something else that I'll tell you about tomorrow, to do with 1 and 2, with unity and duality, which I think will make this more clear, because I'm kind of trying to figure something out here and putting it onto the internet, and you can cooperate, follow me, follow along, add your take, give me your version of what's going on. But I'm trying to figure out what is actually going on. But rather than keep it to myself, and I'm sort of sharing it with you, and I'll make some wrong turnings and so on, and I'll come to some dead ends as well. But then we all do we make mistakes, we take wrong turnings, we come to dead ends. But it doesn't mean that you're wrong to begin with. And also I've got a few more cards to look at, and then we can have a review. So what isn't quite clear at the moment, ideally will become clear by the time we get to the end. But we're sort of exploring at this point and seeing where it all leads, rather than having to know everything, even though we're going to get to that point. Okay, so I'm saying the devil seems real. But we go back to Temperance, where we're dealing with an angel. So where did the pure angel come from? And what's its message? So we take Temperance as the card now, and we want to understand about what's going on with the Temperance card. We go back one number, and we're dealing with death, number 13. So what's the message of the angel? And maybe the message of the angel goes back to 13, and the angel's message is, it's time to make a new start. And going back to the moon, where I began yesterday, we've got the idea of leaving behind what's comfortable and doing something different, doing something new, going in a new kind of journey. So the Temperance card can have its roots or its origin in death. So Temperance base is really about making a new start. It's about the end of the old, out with the old and in with the new, and also in with what's better and what's more complete. Because if you look at the angel in the Temperance card has got two cups, and there's a flow of energy between them. So you've got the hands and the cups, and you've got the energy, and you've got the arms and the chest and the other arm of the angel. And it's like it's making a complete circuit, or it's completing the circuit. We've got, because if you put one hand here and one hand on the other side, and there's no connection, then it's maybe a line. But you put it together, and the energy flows between the two cups, and you've got the completion of a circle, or the completion of the circuit. And also, you if you notice, not quite sure what to do with this, but if you notice, the angel is standing with one foot in the water and one foot on the land, on a rock. So we've got, in the Temperance card, we've got water and earth. And in the Moon card, we've got the crayfish emerging from the water onto the land. So it's a bit like the Temperance card is really, it's the answer to everything. Only we don't understand it completely or correctly at this point, because it's followed by the devil, which is materialism and being trapped. And then we've got to have things break down with the Tower card. And then we've got to be inspired from the star. And then, we've got the Moon, and that's us making our first steps into the new land. And then you've got the child and the horse, and so on. So we go through to the world. But it's a bit like there's a repetition of the elements of water and earth in the Moon card that duplicates what's in the Temperance card. And interestingly enough, I think it's interesting. The Temperance card is number 14. And how many cards are there in each suit? 14. So maybe there's something about the Temperance card, number 14, is complete. It's the whole cycle. It's everything, because you've got the ace through to the 10 of the suit, and then you've got the page, the knight, the queen, and the king, which gives us 14 cards in each of the suits. So maybe there's a particular importance and significance about the Temperance card, that it is in some way completing the circuit and making, think of it, an electrical circuit. Because if you've got, when you push a switch, you complete the circuit, so the thing works, the light comes on, or let's say. But until you complete the circuit, it doesn't function. So in the same way, the Temperance card can represent the final step that makes it all work, or makes it all possible. And until the switch has been thrown, or the connection has been made, or the circuit is complete, it's all potential, but it hasn't actually happened yet. So maybe the ace, or the fool through to the death card, is all about potential. Well, it's not all about potential, but maybe it's potential. But it's not until you get to 14 that you actually get to the point where things actually happen. And then beyond that, we've got how we individually can make it happen, ending up with the world, where you've actually got success in the three-dimensional world in which we live. But the full through to death is maybe before things can actually work. Not sure about that. But do you know what I'm getting at? 14 and the completion of the circuit. Okay, so next we'll look at 3 or 4 more cards. But I think tomorrow I want to tell you about 1 and 2, about unity and the reflection. Because it's easy to get mixed up. And I think all our problems come from misunderstanding what reflection is. And misunderstanding what's in the world. When we look at the world, we're seeing, we think we're seeing real stuff, but actually we're seeing the reflection of something else. Okay, we'll see where this is going. We'll see where this next step is going to be tomorrow when I talk about 1 and 2. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again. Okay, bye-bye.